What's up, everybody? Me and Brittany just finished a Zoom call with past year's D-Now speaker, Jon Jorgenson. We got to do a little rapid fire so you can get to know him a little better. And then maybe we ask him kind of how he's doing ministry and ways you can join in on his ministry and see what's going on and kind of some other things that are going on in Chicago and things that we're even doing here in our own community. So the video is right here. Be sure it's kind of long. Be sure to stick around and check that out.
Miss you guys.
All right. We are now recording.
There we go.
It's happening.
It's live.
We did it.
All right. Well, I did.
Well, it's technically not live. It's pre-recorded, but yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true. I gave you a little bit of heads up, but just for fun, a little rapid fire question here. I came up with some of them, and Brittany came up with some of them, and you can, if you want, guess who asked it. But this first one is you and your wife, Erin. We may accidentally refer to her as Sweet Bear. It would be an accident for us. It's on purpose for you.
It's on purpose. That's her name.
Yep, that's her name. You guys travel quite a bit, and so where's the first place you want to go when this whole thing passes?
Anywhere outside of my front door. But I think the next place we really want to go is Italy. So right now, like since we don't have kids right now, and so we kind of funnel a lot of the money that we would use to like raise a child into specifically, at least like we try and do one international trip a year, and so Italy would be next on our list because we want to go to Rome and Sicily and all those places.
Okay, cool. What about this one? What's your favorite candy?
Probably Reese's, anything chocolate. I'm not really a candy guy unless they're gummy bears. Why? Because they're little sweet bears.
Oh, that's cute.
I actually get a funny story about me. I actually get at the airport on my way home from every single speaking gig, I get a small packet of gummy bears and I eat them on the plane on the way home. It's like my treat for a job well done.
Okay. Good to know. I don't know gummy bears.
I love gummy bears.
Yeah, they're really terrible for you. They're not vegetarian, by the way. They're actually made from pork. So tell yourself that the next time you eat them.
No, I'm never gonna eat those again.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I bet not.
I
still do.
I eat pork rinds, so it can't be that much worse.
It's basically just pork rinds melted into gelatin.
That's so weird.
With food coloring.
Oh yeah, that's not what I expected out of that question, but there we go. My next one, there's things that I know about you from watching you when you vlogged and all those things, and getting to know you over the past few years. Maybe the kids don't, but you've mentioned it to our students that you like to run. What's your dream race?
My dream race right now is it's more of a dream distance. It's a 100-mile race. So a few years ago got into ultra marathons, which is basically anything farther than a marathon distance. So anything beyond 26.2 miles is considered an ultra marathon. And I've run a 50-mile race. And then kind of the next thing beyond that really is 100 miles. And so that's kind of what's in my future. I'd like to do it before my 30th birthday, which that means I have like 18 months or so.
Okay. Yeah, do you put the stickers on your car? Like, do you have a 26.2 or whatever?
No, I'm not although I saw the craziest bumper sticker ever yesterday. I put it on my Instagram story, and it was like someone's house, and then it stretched all the way across the back of their car, and then it was like the Disneyland castle, and they had all these other stickers with numbers, and like it looked like a timeline, and I didn't know what it was, and I guess it's the Disneyland marathons. So maybe I need to add that to my list of races to do one of the Disneyland races.
That would be cool for sure. I don't put stickers on my car either, mostly because I have road rage, so I don't want anything I'm associated with to like. Right. I don't want to put a church bumper sticker on my car and people think, "Oh,
exactly."
Yeah.
I'm not going to First Farmington.
Yeah. If I did though, I would have the 0.0. I'm not a runner. But you mentioned you mentioned Disney, which leads us right into the next question. You've been to Disney World, correct?
I have. Once.
If you could pick one park, you just get to go to one of them. Which one would you pick?
Well, that's easy for me because I've only ever actually been to one park. The only time I've ever been to Disney World in my whole life was one day. We went to Magic Kingdom. A friend of mine who I went to college with, he works there as a stage manager for some of the shows. And so he got us into Magic Kingdom for free. and we spent the whole day there. It was Halloween, which was kind of a fun day to go on. But that's the only like 8 to 9 hours I've ever spent in Disney World.
So you would go back to Magic Kingdom?
Probably, because I would know I would enjoy it.
Okay.
Everywhere else, it's who knows? Who knows if I would like Epcot?
Well, did you meet any Toy Story characters while you were there?
Well, yes, and I brought them home with me. Brought them back. So they are clearly not social distancing right now. Look how close they are to each other.
Oh, they're not social distancing. But this one I'm just going to tell you was Brittany's question. This next one,
all right.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer, and if you don't answer the way I want you to, I'm not sure we'll ever speak again. But it's simply this: do you put the milk first or the cereal first?
Cereal.
Okay, praise God. I was
I'm not an animal.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was pretty sure you were cereal first. What about your go-to Starbucks order?
So mine is a grande Americano hot. Sweet Bear does a venti iced coffee with coconut milk, no sweetener. You can tell I order that a lot for her.
It does.
It flows,
it does appear that way.
It flows off of my tongue like all the Bible verses I also have memorized, all those.
It's funny. I'm looking at this list, and I didn't mention any Bible questions, but we'll get to that stuff later.
Please.
I've actually asked you this question before, and I don't know if you remember.
Probably.
If maybe you changed your answer, or maybe you have the same one. I don't know. If you were a pirate captain, what would you name your ship?
The USS Quarantine.
Oh, that is different than the last
That is definitely different. No, I'd probably name it the Sweet Bear.
Yeah, that's what you said the last time. So that's
which I think would just give away my identity as I'm a pirate in this scenario. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Did you know that pirates were initially, I just learned this. What was it? So you only become so here's what it was. You were hired by a government to basically go and find foreign ships and steal all their cargo. You're not a pirate at that point because you bring it back to the government. You're basically a hired hand by the government. When you become a pirate, when you're hired by a government, you steal the loot from a foreigner's ship and then you keep it for yourself and you go on the run. That's when you would become a pirate, technically.
Okay. Okay.
I
didn't know that.
Lessons learned, people. Lessons learned.
I collect flags. I've obviously got my favorite one back here.
Let's go Stars.
I wish I could see them playing right now. But I've always thought, I like the pirate flag, like the way it looks, but it's like, evil and sinful. So I never have bought one and displayed it in my office.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough luck. It'd be a weird look for parents walking in with their 7th grader. Like, why has he got the Jolly Roger hanging in his office?
At least they would know what it is. Most of the parents don't have a clue what this Stars flag is. But, I've got one more, and this one's sort of, I guess, maybe Bible related if you think about it. But just in case they don't know, where can parents and students maybe follow you to check out your morning live streams you're doing?
Yes. Well, you can follow up for the morning live streams. Just to give you some context, actually, Sweet Bear gave me this idea during this time of like stay at home. COVID-19 during this season. I'm going live on Instagram every morning just to do a short little 15-minute devotional / Bible study. We're walking through the book of Jeremiah right now, which is not the most uplifting book in the world. But it is, I think, pretty relevant. At that point, God's people were going through sort of a national crisis, and we're going through a bit of a crisis ourselves. So we just kind of open it up for 15 minutes and see what wisdom God's word has for us. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Jon Jorgenson. I'm also continuing to upload to my YouTube channel throughout all of this. You can just search Jon Jorgenson, or you can type in Who You Are. You'll get a Jessie J song, and then you'll get me.
That is true.
And you can subscribe there. So yeah.
For sure. I wanted to, get that out there and make sure kids and parents alike, kind of tune into what you're doing. It was the cool part about bringing you in for D Now was, hey, you can see what he's doing when it's not D Now. And especially now that he's stuck at home, he does this online stuff all the time. He's good at it. a different
Well,
faith.
it's been interesting, you know, so many churches and schools and everyone has been forced to do all of their work and ministry online. And part of me is like, I've been doing that for the better part of a decade now, you know? And so I oddly feel somewhat prepared for this season to hopefully provide people with some sort of encouragement or some resources to help them during this time continue to grow in their faith and in their relationship with God.
Yeah.
So that's the
And
hope.
I've texted it to you, but I am very thankful that you actually reached out to me. That's something the students don't know. I did tell them Wednesday, you know, hey, we're going to have a conversation with Jon Jorgenson, and you'll get to, you know, see that. But you reached out to me and said, hey, is there anything I can do? Which is cool, because if you think, you know, kind of how these relationships work, you know, typically the speaker doesn't reach out to the event to start it, you know, and that's how it's been. You know, we invite you to D now, but you reached out to me, which was really cool. And so I do thank you for jumping in on this. I feel like Brittany needs to ask something. I have a list of questions here that she has seen. She told me that it would be nice for the girls in the youth group to see a girl and not me.
Yes, I agree.
So-
Let's get some female representation up in here. Thank you, Brittany, for doing that for us.
got-
I'm not helping, clearly. I have like
Both.
both feet. And I think Jesse's in. Yeah, there's Jesse. So there's Miss Potato Head.
I don't like being on video, but I think it would be good for the kids to see a girl.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I've tried to keep my lessons pretty short, because it's like you don't want to look at a video of my face. Longer than you have to.
Yes. Amen.
What do you think, Britt? You want to kick this off?
Sure. So what are things looking like in the Chicago area as far as spread, morale, and response?
Yeah, so Chicago is obviously a much larger city than Farmington, and because of that, there's a bit more people and a bit more people at risk. But Chicago, and specifically the state of Illinois, they kind of shut things down and put kind of a mandatory stay-at-home order in place last Saturday for about 2 weeks. So it's not that we aren't allowed to leave our homes. Like, we still can go to the grocery store. I still go out on a run. But other than that, they really encourage people to kind of stay at home. And so that's what we've kind of been doing. I think something I've been learning is that kind of the best thing that we can do during this time is to almost not do anything, strangely enough. And just because, you know, maybe I am not afraid of getting sick or whatever it might be, doesn't mean that my neighbors, I have plenty of elderly people who live on my block, plenty of people with sort of different, you know, immune disorders or things like that are really at risk if they get sick. And so Sweet Bear and I are just trying to be as cautious as possible and follow the instructions that, you know, our government and our state is kind of giving us, while also taking care of our own kind of sanity, you know, going on walks and things like that. But morale in our house is pretty good right now.
Well, good. Yeah, I know here. I think we just hit double digits in the case as far as cases, like confirmed cases.
Yeah.
Days ago.
Yeah, it's pretty high. I have a real, one of my best friends in the world lives in New York. He lives in New York City, and I learned yesterday, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think almost half of the confirmed cases in the US are in New York right now. It's like the hub of it. And he was saying yesterday, it's sort of like two things. There's a lot of fear and there's a lot of worry, but at the same time, it gives opportunity for so many people to kind of step up and help out and love one another and serve one another. That kind of stuff doesn't stop in a situation like this, but actually we have now a greater opportunity to serve and love our neighbor because there is a greater need than we've seen before. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just odd, you know, specifically in my context, it's like a student pastor, where everything I do is essentially like, yeah, I want to teach and like help grow students grow in their faith or whatever. But like, I only have so many hours a week that I can do that, like maybe one or maybe two. And I kind of need the parents to, you know, I've been trying to get parents, hey, let's do this. And it's been hard, you know, being in a new place. And now the parents, they're like teaching school to their kids and doing everything. But so much of the other part of my ministry was like being there. and being present at games,
Yes.
and it's just, that's not happening. So it's been kind of tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here, people seem to be. We were slow to be afraid, but now we're afraid. There's a lot of when the first case popped up in our county. People started to get a little bit more on edge. The governor started shutting things down. Excuse me. But yeah, it is certainly a time for people to step up. Of course, we're not going to see the peak here for, maybe even a few more weeks.
Right.
Just so long to get here. But hopefully these things shut down. And I was talking to our pastor, Pastor Carey, and he's like, if this works, we're going to feel like it. Some people feel like it was for nothing, but that's what we want. We want nothing.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
The hope is that it feels like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal. Like, that's actually really, really good news. And I really appreciate what you were saying, Jacob, about, so much of your job is to be present with people and to show up for them. And so much of like what makes a really good student ministry so good is that community aspect. And I know just from being with you all, at First Students for one weekend, there's such a strong community. And when you can't all physically come together, it's really hard to sort of recreate that. But I think there are still ways that we can all show up for one another, even if it is like I emailed you saying, how can I show up and be present in your community as much as I can? I think we can all do that even from a one-to-one basis of setting up Zoom calls with your friends or FaceTiming or whatever it is. I think it's showing up to the best of your ability with the current circumstances we're living in,
Yeah. It's just we're having to find new ways to do that. Go ahead.
Yes.
Have you seen a growth in like views and like subscribers since everyone's at home doing nothing?
It's interesting. I've definitely seen an increase in just engagement, with things. And I think it's because people are really desperate and looking for a lifeline or just a window. And so we grab our phones and that gives us like a window into the outside world for a few minutes. And my hope is that people are going to be spending tons of time on their phones, on their screens, on their devices, probably more than ever during this time. So it's my hope to meet them with content and teaching that hopefully is good and life-giving rather than the stuff we would otherwise turn to that might just like numb us out or even make us feel worse or even more scared. I hope to be a voice of encouragement and light during this time.
Yeah. Well, I know one of the ways we pointed out the live stream, which is something, I guess you started that once all the lockdowns happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically it was kind of like the day of like them really starting to shut things down here in Chicago and in Illinois. I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's do this once a day. And the idea was just like, instead of waking up and immediately picking up our phones and seeing all this seemingly bad news that is popping up, let's start with, good news and something that doesn't change. And that's God's word and his promises and his presence in our lives. So before we get caught up in like the craziness, let's start our day from just a place of stillness and peace. Because that's, I think, what we need to carry forward, especially in difficult times.
Yeah. And I think that one of the cool things about maybe engaging with your live stream is that like this pandemic is affecting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I need to hear even just people asking you questions or people commenting while you're speaking, kind of their perspective, because they're not in Northwest Arkansas. Like, well, they may be. I don't know everyone up here, but like I'm getting to hear and see how people are responding and handling things when they're in a different context than me.
Mm-hmm.
Which like it's a much more rapid. Well, nothing's rapid because we're stuck at home, but like things are spreading quicker where you are than here.
Right.
Still, the fear and the anxiety and all that, and getting to see kind of how people are staying strong, even in the comments that are in your live stream has been cool to see. I will admit, it's been fantastic. I've tuned into quite a few of them. I did sleep through this morning's. I didn't wake up until like 9:15. My sleep
happens
up, man. I haven't maintained a good one.
Yeah.
Which it's spring break for Brittany, so maybe when she has to start getting up to do Zoom things early in the morning, I'll start going.
I did that this morning.
Well, yeah, but I slept through it. When it gets more consistent, maybe I'll be able to make all of them. But I certainly do want to encourage our students and parents and really anybody that happens to see this and when we upload it to check that out.
Yeah, and I save them to my story every single day. So even if you don't get up early enough to catch it live, it'll still be available for you to view for the next 24 hours on my story whenever is convenient for you. So.
Okay, cool. I didn't. I actually haven't been checking Instagram besides when I get notifications that someone went live.
There you go.
I didn't know that. So there you go. You can watch it even if you don't. Because I'm going to bet most of my students aren't up at 8:30.
Probably not. Probably not.
Some of them may be going to bed at about the time you start that thing.
There you go.
But we'll see. Want to check that out for sure. What do you think, Britt? Want to ask another question?
Sure. How is your church still doing ministry while everyone is locked down?
Yeah, so our church, it's called Soul City Church, for those of you who don't know, and they really kind of just came to life right away. And in this time of saying, okay, this is probably going to be a new reality for a little while. And the thing first and foremost that they were concerned with is how do we still care for our people? Mm-hmm. And so they basically redesigned like our entire website within the course of a week to basically be an online church. And if you go to our church's website, the first thing that pops up is like, do you need prayer, physical care, resources, support? And you can click on those and it takes you to either we have like a physical prayer hall at our church. We built a virtual prayer hall. We have, we have care, like online Zoom meeting care groups that are kind of meeting every day. And so immediately it was like, hey, we recognize that our people in our community, like you said, Jacob, we're all walking through this really, really crazy, difficult season. So we said, let's mobilize, let's figure out how do we care for people even from a distance. And we're doing that hopefully even beyond just like a Sunday service live stream. Right. We're trying to still promote community throughout the week in different ways. And it's like you were saying with, trying to come alongside and help parents in now perhaps playing a bigger role than they ever have before in the intellectual and spiritual development of their kids' lives. We're trying to kind of like everyone needs to be a pastor now. We need to pastor ourselves. We need to kind of shepherd one another. And so we're kind of figuring out how can we create resources to help people do that. I think within the fact that we have this giant obstacle that we can't meet together physically, that also means each and every one of us individually has this incredible opportunity to take more ownership over our faith from a personal standpoint than we ever have before. Because no longer can I rely on just like going to the edge or listening to Jacob all the time or fun games or things like that. Now I have to take a little more ownership over, am I going to continue to pursue God during this time? Even when I can't go to those things where normally I would. Yeah.
I think one of the things that kind of another question off of that is how do you, because you have your own ministry online, you work with your church as well. Like what do you think, how do you walk the line of, being there in an online presence or however, but not like oversaturating the online market? I don't know how to word it. Because we had that
absolutely.
But we want to put stuff out for our church members and for our community, but like everybody's putting stuff out, and so you don't want to fight. It's not a competitive thing.
Totally.
But you don't want to send out too much. So how do you walk that line?
Yeah, I heard a pastor say about this kind of new season we're in. He talked about we want to put out content, but we also want to promote community. Yeah. And I thought that was really, really wise. And so one thing that I am trying to keep myself honest with, and that, we've been talking about at our church is, how do we create resources and content and live streams for people to watch and videos for people to engage in? But at the same time, how do we put out reminders or create opportunities for people to step away from their screens or people to kind of step away from it for a while and actually be present with your family that you're kind of staying at home with all the time, and so I think there does have to be that balance, and we have a responsibility to try and encourage people to still engage in the physical community that they have if you're lucky enough to be quarantined with a family or a small group of people. But also then that's on us. That's, again, we have to take kind of radical responsibility over our own health and our own spiritual well-being to say, hey, I can't just continue to sit on this thing all day long during this time. It's not going to help. It's not going to help me grow. Let's, as a family, choose an hour or 2 hours where we all agree we're going to put our phones away and we're going to play a game, or we're going to do a puzzle, or whatever it is. I think that kind of stuff is so important during this time as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, you know, we've in a sense have been saying, hey, you need to spend time with people. We've encouraged face-to-face interaction. There's some things that I don't know if the students necessarily recognize here, and of course you didn't see it. But when I got here, like where people hang out in the front part of the edge, I rearranged the whole thing. And like I took out pretty much a lot of the video game systems they had were old, so the kids weren't playing them anyways. But I removed most of them, and I moved all the couches and made like little
little meeting pods.
And I didn't replace anything that I took. Like I didn't put a different game there, and you know, I was talking to leaders, like, you know, I did it so they would talk. Like watch them talk. It's going to be fantastic. And you know, but now, you know, we're kind of forced to do that, which could be good. And then there's also, you know, you see the memes on social media about wanting to kill your spouse or whatever. And we're going to hope none of that happens through this whole entire quarantine. We're doing okay. You know, right now we played a lot of video games together. What do you and Aaron do? What are you guys doing together?
Yeah, so we're lucky enough to where a lot of people have time off of work right now, or unfortunately a lot of people have even been laid off of work and laid off of their jobs, which is really, really difficult. We are lucky enough to not necessarily be in that position. Sure. Because a lot of the work we do is online. It's like work is now almost as busy as it ever has been. And so we obviously are working together, but even after the first week, we kind of realized like, hey, we're not doing anything but like getting up and sitting on the couch next to each other on our laptops and doing work. And so one thing we're trying to implement is at least once or twice a week, like, let's try a new recipe together and let's cook something, you know, her and I, whether it's baking or whether it's, you know, whatever it is. And I think entire families can do that too. You know, it's like, hey, you're in charge of this part of the dinner. You're in charge of that part of the dinner. Let's all try this together. We love watching TV together. And that really is like a connecting sort of activity for us. I know for a lot of people it's not, but for us it really is, because usually we'll watch something and then we'll end up talking about it afterwards for an hour. We'll like debrief on it and, you know, ask each other questions on it. So I think any sort of activity that promotes, like you were saying, those conversations and actually talking with the people around you rather than each of you going to your own little universe, I think those are things to really lean into and do more of during this time, perhaps than we have previously.
Yeah, I know we before we kind of got quarantined, we got a Dinnerly subscription. And of course, this is not any sort of promotion because I don't have that many subscribers on our church.
We're not sponsored.
Or my personal YouTube. Yeah, not sponsored, but it's been fun I don't cook. Brittany can cook more than me. But like, then this course wasn't on I sent you a general outline of what we're going to talk about. But what would you say is your strength in the kitchen, John?
So I'm more of the cook, Air's more of the baker.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So usually it's best and vice versa. I really hate baking and she really doesn't enjoy cooking that much. So it usually works out really, really well because she's the type of person where it's like, give her a recipe and she will follow it to the T. Whereas I'm more of the like, give me a recipe, I'll glance over it, and then I'll just kind of feel it, you know?
Okay.
And hopefully it'll still taste good. It usually does. And so it really works because with baking, you kind of have to follow the recipe, you know, or the bread or the cake is not going to rise or whatever, where it's a little different with cooking. So for me, it's like, I'll cook whatever, and usually it's dinner, and then she takes care of like any dessert and things like that, which I'm all down for dessert. I like eating dessert more. She likes eating dinner more. So we serve each other in that way.
Yeah, I've enjoyed cooking with Brittany, and cooking in general. She's been more busy with work stuff like in the afternoon than me. Mm-hmm. I've done a little bit more of the cooking, but I don't know if it's just because I'm bored or if I actually. We'll find out once this whole thing passes. But it's been interesting. I would say my biggest strength is pretending it's not as bad as it really is. Like we had to, we made these quesadillas. We had to use the broiler, and I honestly didn't know we even had one of those in the top of our oven until like we started having to use it for this.
No, so we used it for this pasta we made, and it was like it took forever for it to broil. So we kept having to put it in like over and over and over. Well, then, so for our quesadillas, we're like, we'll put it in a little longer than it says, since last time we used it, like we kept having to put it in. No, it burned like they were black.
Immediately.
So like yesterday was my dad's birthday, and I called him and I was like, I've been sending him pictures. I made a pork loin that looked really good, tasted really good. I said, if you notice, I didn't send you a picture yesterday. I was like, I made some fire quesadillas. He goes, oh yeah? And I said, yeah, like they were literally burned.
They were literally on fire. So
anyway. But yeah, it's cooking has been good. We play video games together. I think it is important for families to find something to do. Mm-hmm. That still follows the rules. There was a little bit of an uproar in there's a like Farmington Facebook page, not like the official city has a page. They have a page, but it's like just something that anybody in the community can post. And there were a lot of people at the park, playing basketball. And it's like, I get it, we're bored, but we did need to stay safe. And I don't think hopefully social distancing doesn't apply to people you're quarantined with, because obviously we're not 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
But
if we were, you wouldn't see both of us on the
That's true. We'd have to sit way back here.
Sit way back there and
yell at the thing. But yeah, that's cool. What about, just back to the thing about churches and ministering? Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, I'm almost out of questions here, but what are maybe some creative ways you've seen people doing ministry, maybe outside of your church?
I've seen a lot of people doing just like different but slightly similar things to what I'm doing, like on Instagram. There's several different like pastors and people that I follow who are kind of going on once a day, either on Instagram Live or they're uploading things to YouTube every day, just to provide people with resources and things like that. I see a lot of different people really using this like Zoom platform. It's kind of funny, like Zoom has been a thing in like businesses and to do meetings for so long, but now you're watching like 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds being like, hey, we're having a Zoom call with all of our friends. But even
that's
like
what our life groups are doing. They're using Zoom to have
exactly.
Which if my life group sees this, I swear we're going to do one soon. I promise.
Yes, do it. Yeah. I think that's like that stuff is super fun, and I really like that. But those are kind of most of the things that I've seen and that I have engaged in myself, that it doesn't totally replace that, like we're sitting in a circle together, we're face to face, but it's the closest thing we can do right now. So let's utilize it. Let's use like God has given us this incredible technology. Let's use it in ways that kind of promote flourishing and help us live better lives, Yeah,
and we're, we don't do a lot of online stuff. Excuse me. We upload sermons on YouTube and our Sunday morning services. We don't upload the youth services really. We put some stuff on Instagram here and there, but like we're having to try and figure out what works, in our context, with our people. And like I did the first one for the youth. I did I recorded a sermon. It was like 15 minutes, including me explaining why we're on YouTube. And, I uploaded that and I did the premiere. So I was in the comments. We'll probably do the same sort of thing with this, because I did an Instagram Live from the youth Instagram account. And I have had this cough since D now. It's post-viral cough, and it lasts like up to 16 weeks.
Did I give it to you?
Well, I got sick after D now, and then I went to the doctor because my coworkers were like, will you quit coughing?
It's really annoying.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. And so I got the medicine and the inhaler, and it made things better, but it didn't like destroy it. And so it's still kind of there. Did this Instagram Live, and I just started coughing, and I didn't have my cough. And I'm like, oh no, everyone's gonna think I have coronavirus. I'm pretty sure I don't, but I still feel great. I had the cough for a while, and then I got that settled down, and my dog started barking, and so it was a train wreck. YouTube's gonna be more of the route. We got more engagement on YouTube as well, but it's been cool to see churches adapt, and people like yourself who do ministry, which like you were maybe more prepared doing online stuff, but even you changed up how you're doing a lot of things, going live every morning I did see one church. I wish I could remember where I saw it, but they have an FM signal. I don't know if they got it recently or they've had it or what, but they set up a stage outside and did like a drive-in movie theater.
I
like,
saw that.
Cars.
Yeah,
So
just like a drive. The people are like, even the cars were social distance.
Yeah.
Like they were like one space apart from each other, you know? And I was like, all right, cheers. But what I think a cool opportunity as we're watching more churches and youth ministries and things like that be forced to kind of go online, I think that provides such a easy opportunity for like students and people who are engaging with that to share it with friends or with people who like maybe they've wanted to invite to church but always felt a little awkward. Like it's harder to invite someone to come early on a Sunday morning to a physical building than it is to just share a link with someone.
Yeah.
You know, but that is so easy right now during this time, especially when so many people are scared, so many people are looking for encouragement and hope. What a great opportunity we have to just share the YouTube link of Jacob's Message or whoever with someone, with a friend, because also they don't have anything to do right now. So maybe they're going to watch it. You know, you have no idea how God could just use one video or one link to perhaps connect someone with, you know, with him or at least with first students so that when y'all are back meeting together, who knows how many new people are going to show up because they've been brought into the community during this time in a virtual way.
Yeah. And it's been cool to see. I was talking to my granny, and I don't know if she'll see this or not, but she was like, I just got preached to all day. She just kept watching, like she went to different churches and watched her people, and she got to do it all day long, and that was, you know, really fun.
It's like a church marathon.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I've seen churches partnering well together. You know, we have some things going on with there's a church, the Methodist church in our town has a food pantry. And we're partnering with them. So to put it all in one place, you know, we're not trying to randomly. They've been doing this, so let's partner with them.
That's so good.
They know how to do it well. There's been churches that have offered their like recording setups for smaller churches. Hey, you can come record here, and then you can upload, so you can do your own thing. It's been cool to see stuff like that. And you know, if Easter hits and we're still, you know, quarantine, which the president said he hopes to kind of relax the rules, but it's not looking good. If we're, you know, we may be trying to do a drive-in movie setup for Easter.
Yeah.
I don't know. The creativity will probably continue to grow, I imagine, through this.
Well, you know what? If the Apostle Paul could figure out how to encourage churches from prison in the first century, I mean, he was literally quarantined. I think we can figure out how to do a little ministry from our homes.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been interesting. I'm trying to do it and learn it, and you know, do it better each time. But I am so looking forward to the first day that we're all back together.
Yeah.
I was talking to our staff. You know, we sat 6 feet apart, and there's only 4 of us, so we can.
You're just sitting in a square.
We're not even breaking the rule of the 10-person rule or whatever it is here. But like, we're gonna do something. I mean, we're gonna have a service, but like, I don't know, we're gonna come up with something, because I certainly miss, you know, being in the same place as students, and it's been tough. It's been hard on them, I think. And this is kind of the last question. I emailed the leaders about this, and to us adults, this is inconvenience, not the right word. I wouldn't call this an inconvenience, but like even though we haven't been through this before, kind of say, you know, these things have to be canceled for the safety of everybody. And we kind of see, even though we don't know when it is, we see the other side. Like, hey, this is going to pass. We're going to be okay. But I'm just missing work time. You know, work looks different. I'm not really missing any major events.
Yeah.
I'm missing the entire softball season.
I mean, your softball season.
Yeah.
But you have another softball season, and you know that. But especially the seniors, you know.
Yeah.
They canceled the state championship basketball game. Our girls team made it to the championship, and it got canceled the day before, or maybe the day I can't remember exactly when.
They were already there, but
yeah, they were there. They were in Hot Springs.
Yeah.
They drove, 3.5, 4 hours, whatever it is, and we're there, and it got taken away. You know, they don't get that back. I don't think prom has been canceled, but it's looking, that way.
Yeah.
What if prom gets taken away? and all these last things. So, and I kind of gave you a heads up on this one, but you just have any maybe encouraging words for those students who there's a trip this summer to Australia, juniors and seniors, that's I'm assuming going to get taken away.
Yeah.
Do you have any encouraging words maybe for those who are missing out on those things? And kind of what I told some of the seniors I talked to is God has a plan, but this still hurts. It doesn't mean this doesn't sting.
Yeah.
I told them I don't really have any magic words, and I don't know you necessarily have any magic words either. But anything, if you could speak specifically to the seniors, kind of what would you say?
Yeah, I think that's really wise, Jacob, to acknowledge the fact that we are all in our own ways losing things during this. We're all experiencing some form of loss, and that stuff to varying degrees matters to us. And I think it's okay to take time to grieve that stuff and to be sad and to, even calling up, your friends who calling up your basketball team that you would have, been playing in that game with, and kind of having an open, honest conversation about your frustrations about it. And I think you got to give yourself time to grieve those things, just like in any other scenario. If you lost something, or if it was canceled, or whatever, you would have to take time to work through that. But like you said, on the other side of it, kind of finding a way to then walk through this with hope as well. And it gives us all, again, an opportunity to zoom out on our lives a little bit and say, hey, my senior year really, really matters to me. And I've been looking forward to X thing about my senior year for all of high school. But it's not going to happen. That hurts. I'm going to grieve that. But I also recognize that I have a long life, hopefully, to live beyond this, and so while it stings now, it's not going to sting forever, and I would then encourage you, once you've kind of continue, as you're working through that grief, ask yourself, what unique opportunities do we have to do something really cool here and now? Like, we're in a situation that, God willing, we will never really be in again.
Hopefully so.
So that provides us with an opportunity to create different kinds of memories. It's not going to be a traditional prom or a traditional state championship or whatever it is, but we can create memories that are going to be meaningful for our senior year or whatever it might be. We can still do that. They're just going to look a little bit different, and it's going to require some creativity, So yeah, I think it's both of those things. Let's grieve it. Let's call it what it is. Let's be honest about our pain, but also at the same time, let's be resilient and let's figure out, hey, what kind of unique experience that we will never forget, that we'll always say, hey, remember during senior year, during COVID-19, when we did that? Like, that was so cool. That was so unique. That was so different. So that would be my encouragement, I think.
Cool. But yeah, I think, I do really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. I don't have any more questions on my sheet. I'm sure you've got other things going on, but yeah, I just want to say again, thank you. And I'll get this uploaded where the students can see it, and kind of get their feedback. I'll let you know when I put it, premiere it. That way you can maybe be in the comments too, or we may set that up.
Yeah, I would love that. I'd love that. And thank you for letting me dial in and talk to you all and speak to your community. Immediately, as soon as I heard all about this, like, there was so many churches that I work with and so many groups that came to my mind, and y'all were one of the first. And just know I've been praying for you guys and your leadership, but also praying for all the students and all the families in Farmington. I love y'all, and I hope we get to see each other physically again, but this is good enough for now.